What you're seeing on the screen is my ranking for all the mainline Star Wars films. The reason you're seeing this on the screen is so that you can make a decision to trust what I have to say about this film or disregard it right out of the gate. This list has Clone Wars and The Last Jedi at the bottom, but I want you to know that I don't really hate any Star Wars movies. I just enjoy some more than others, and this is my current ranking of those films. So now that I've revealed how much you can trust my opinion, let's talk Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Spoiler free, of course. Well, we made it, boys and girls. 42 years and 9 movies later, the Skywalker saga has finally come to an end. After 2 brilliant and 1 average film, the Star Wars series has been marred with controversy, fanboys, haters, and politics. As a fan of the original trilogy, it's been a bumpy last 20 years, to say the least. The prequel trilogy was frankly disappointing and saw the death nail to Lucas's involvement with his baby, and as sad as that is, it was probably for the best. I know there is a tangent of young people attempting to change history and state that the prequels were misunderstood or secretly brilliant, and, yeah, no.
I killed them. I killed them all. They're dead.
Yes, that's what killing you means.
Revenge of the Sith was the phoenix that rose out of those ashes, and I've been saying that since 2005, but the first 2 films are films that should be next to the definition of so bad, it's good. You watch those movies to laugh at how bad they are. That isn't to say that you get no enjoyment out of them, but the prequel trilogy is essentially love it or tolerate it. The sequel trilogy, on the other hand, at least to most people, is blindly hated or blindly praise it. There is no in-between with these people, and no matter what I say, I'm going to piss somebody off. So here's what I think of The Rise of Skywalker. I absolutely enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, this film is messy, but it's the kind of entertaining messy that you expect in a fantasy blockbuster. It's similar to The Matrix Reloaded for me, has obvious issues, but you don't really care and you enjoy the ride. For me, it's the best of the sequel trilogy, and let me explain why. Rey. The movie fleshes Rey out completely. She has usurped Kylo Ren as my favorite character in the trilogy, at least for this movie, where The Force Awakens basically gave us this somewhat unrelatable protagonist, and The Last Jedi gave us a walking plot device. Rise of Skywalker makes Rey feel like an actual person. She's emotional and displays actual character flaws, something she was nearly devoid of in the previous films. The movie answers why she is so powerful. It demonstrates her abilities without being too distracting. If you're going to make a movie about a certain character, these are the things we need to care about that character, and this is where The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens failed the character of Rey. The Force Awakens in particular made Rey feel like she just won because. That movie is entertaining overall, but when Rey was revealed to be the main protagonist, it felt cheap. This movie has retroactively made me enjoy The Force Awakens better and The Last Jedi less, but more on that later. Here, there is an explanation for why Rey is so good at what she does, and I think this explanation is going to make this movie polarizing. For me, the plot is messy and could have been tighter. There are flat-out MacGuffins in this film, and I'm not sure the film benefits from having them. As MacGuffins, they literally serve to have the protagonist and antagonist do things. This movie's pace is rapid. Go here, find this thing. Go there, do that thing. I felt that this was because the film spends a lot of time attempting to pick up the pieces from the previous 2 films and salvage the story. There is a lot happening in this film, and this ultimately serves to make the film feel rushed and some plot points rather underdeveloped. The positive here is that the movie is incredibly beautiful while traveling from locale to locale, and that's praise to J.J. Abrams, who has returned to direct the film, ousting The Last Jedi's Rian Johnson. Which is fortunate because holy shit, did that guy not understand Star Wars. This is what I meant by this movie making me like The Last Jedi less. For all the faults of this film, it actually feels like a Star Wars movie. For people like me who did enjoy the last film, this movie will make you realize why The Last Jedi wasn't great and why people have issues with that film. This movie is by no means perfect, but damn, it feels like Star Wars, and I have to give it credit for that. My other issue with this film is the Emperor. I'm not going to say that his position in the story is bad, but it is kinda ridiculous. His involvement kind of ruins the ending of Return of the Jedi. Not that Return of the Jedi was an amazing film in the first place, but him not being dead is kind of a slap in the face to Anakin and his story. There are aspects I liked about his return, such as the explanation for the origin of Snoke. Oh, did I not mention that this movie explains Snoke? This movie explains Snoke. Again, another thing that The Last Jedi failed to give us. If you haven't noticed by now, this film seeks to right the wrongs of the last movie, and friend, that is by design. The thing is though, I'm not sure if the die-hard fans will like this explanation. Personally, I am mixed on it, and it'll take some time to digest for me. As it stands though, I'm going to count this as a negative, simply because it adds to the mess. Kylo Ren has a pretty great arc in this film, and as he's been one of the bright spots throughout this trilogy, I pretty much got what I expected. If I say any more, we'd be venturing into spoiler territory, so I'll just leave it at he's been one of my favorite Star Wars antagonists, and he continues that here. He shares a really awkward moment with Rey towards the end of the film, and I honestly was like, what the... I'll stop here. Poe is another fun character in this film, and I gotta tell you, after he meets up with another character in the middle of the film, I couldn't help but feel like Disney was trying to set up another Star Wars TV show involving him and this character in the past, and after Disney proved themselves with The Mandalorian, I'd watch the hell out of that. Finn is fine in this film as well, and after how hit and miss he's been in this trilogy, I'm happy to see him involved more in the action. Yes, he's still sweaty, and yes, he's still yelling, but at least he's given real things to do and not sent to a fucking casino planet. There is also a confirmation of a fan theory about Finn people were making up until the release of The Force Awakens, so there's that. I think J.J. Abrams heard the complaints about Rose in the last film loud and clear, cause she is riding the pine. You might see her a total of 4 times in this film, and she might have like 6 or 7 lines, so you Rose fans, prepare to be disappointed, all 8 of you. Due to the unfortunate death of Carrie Fisher, Leia also appears infrequently in this film. However, her character has quite the impact, so the scenes that she does appear in are pretty important. There is obvious CGI used on her, and it doesn't look as good as Tarkin's did in Rogue One, I am sad to say. As I mentioned earlier though, the visual effects in this movie are stunning. There is imagery in this film that looks ripped out of a graphic novel. One scene involving Palpatine and some weird machine holding him up absolutely floored me. Laser space battles and lightsabers all pop in this film. Speaking of lightsabers, the lightsaber fights, of which there are quite a few, leave much to be desired. Adam Driver does a great job with the choreography, but the problem is Daisy Ridley. She's just unathletic, so the fight scenes don't look realistic. The Snoke chamber scene in The Last Jedi was her best showing, because in this film, the fight choreography just looks bad. It honestly looks like they just left the first take in the final cut. The sad part is, in the previous 2 films, Daisy didn't look so unathletic, and it's probably due to how those films were shot. This film shoots the saber battles in wides and up close, and Daisy doesn't do a great job here. So, I've given you a lot of information about this film, and there's a lot more, but these are all spoilers. I don't spoil movies in my reviews, so I'll just say that for the most part, I enjoyed these aspects of the film. There are cheesy things that happen in this movie that made me go, why? There's quite a bit that requires a suspension of disbelief, but I think if you go in with an open mind, you might come away with a film that you actually enjoy. I've been mulling over my final rating, and this is a tough one to grade, simply because it does so many things right, while simultaneously getting things wrong. Overall, I enjoyed my time watching this movie, and as I weigh entertainment value more heavily than I do nitpicks, I'm going to give this movie a very low B or a very high C, whatever is in between those. Alright, come at me, internet. I enjoyed a movie that I am supposed to hate. To be honest, I went in expecting to dislike this movie, and I can't honestly say that I did. I feel like J.J. Abrams at least tries to right the wrongs of The Last Jedi as we get concrete explanations for things. In any case, I recommend people check out this movie and make up their own minds. And with that said, have you seen The Rise of Skywalker? What did you think about it? Do you disagree with my assessment? Scratch that. I know you disagree with my assessment, so go on ahead and let me know why in the comment section. Maybe you have something to say that I didn't consider. Anyway, this has been your friendly neighborhood Birdman. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.